Okay, so just a little interesting history to this Maamar. So you look in Ha'ara 1 over here, on page 214, page 23 of the Kovetz. It says, Mitzayin to Padah Beshalom Ayin Ches, and Tavshin Zayin, Nitfas Bekuntris Kuf Yutes, which is Yutes Kislev, Shana Zu Tavshin Tezayin. Right, this Maamar is Chayesar Tezayin, Befarchen Kislev, and the Maamar was printed Yutes Kislev. Right, Shmuly Gillian La'ar Rishayna Sham Be'esei Svados Shabbos Kodesh Varchim Chodesh Kislev Tavshin Tezayin Never Gamkin Maamar Zeh. So the Maamar was like this. As we know, especially after the Frierdiker Rebbe came to America, so the Frierdiker would give out kontresim. Now, when the Rebbe was in charge of Kos, right, from Tavshin Aleph, Tavshin Beis and on, so the Rebbe was the Oirech Rashi, the editor-in-chief, and the Rebbe would give out the Maamarim. So this Seder went on where Sichos of the Frierdiker Rebbe were given out and Maamarim were given out. The Sichos are what we know today as the Likutei Diburim, which was like the Likutim of Diburim, of the raid of the Sichos that came out then. And there were kontresim. The kontresim were the Maamarim. Sometimes the kontresim Maamarim had also Sichos in them. Similar to the way by the Rebbe, there was a Kut of Sichos coming out for Shabbos with old Sichos that were repurposed and arranged for this parsha, and Maamar Melukit, where you had older Maamarim that were prepared for now. So, with the years, more and more kontresim were coming out, and especially this was celebrated Tavshin Hey when the Frierdiker Rebbe suffered a stroke, and from them, pretty much Frierdiker Rebbe had a chesaron in Dibur, as the Rebbe would speak about often by Fabregens. This is the famous story of the doctor speaking to Frierdiker Rebbe. He has a chesaron b'Dibur. So then, while there were still sichos, maybe a few Maamarim that were said, but be'ikar the Maamarim were given over through ksiva. So here there were two oifanim. Many of the Maamarim that came out then were older Maamarim that were said 5 years before, 10 years before, Maamarim from the Pays, the Tzaddiks, the early Shins, that would be prepared and with added kitzurim and a Pesach Davar, sometimes the Dibur Maskul would change a bit, and that would be the Maamar that came out for that Yom of the Pagra. And the Rebbe would give out the Maamar, the Pesach Davar. The Frierdiker Rebbe obviously would look it over, and so then you look through the Sefer Maamar, Tavshin Vav, Tavshin Zayin, Tavshin Ches, Tavshin Tes. A lot of times you'll see in the Mafteach, in the front, on bottom, which has a lot of the Rebbe's Aris under it. So Maamar Tavshin Zayin and Re'eh, or this is the Maamar of Tafresh Pei Zayin. It's a Maamar from years before. A few of the Maamarim are new Maamarim. At least we don't know. We haven't found an earlier time that it was said or written. And this was a fresh Maamar that was given out then, but very possibly was only written and given out then. Basi Lagani Hayadua that was, as Rebbe writes, that was Kuntris Ayin Dalid that he brought into the Frierdiker Rebbe. It's from Tafresh Pei Gimel. It's from the earliest Maamarim of the Nesias, Tafresh Pei Gimel. So, but this Maamar of Tavshin Zayin, there's something even more unique about it. That be'etzem, it's not the Frierdiker Rebbe's Maamar, it's the Rebbe Shmuel Seiden's Maamar. It's the Rebbe Rashab's Maamar. So this Maamar, the Rebbe published, so it came out then Tavshin Zayin, but then the Rebbe published it Tavshin Tes Zayin. Now what happened was that even after Tavshin Yud, after Yud Shvat, the Rebbe continued giving out kontresim. First, the Rebbe finished the two Maamarim to finish the Hemshech of Basi Lagani, the Maamar of Purim and Beis Nissen, the last 10 Parakim of Basi Lagani. Then, after Beis Nissen, this was for Pesach, I believe, so the Rebbe gave out a new Maamar from the Frierdiker Rebbe for Pesach. And here the Rebbe had a whole Akdam explaining what's going on here. It's like, how did you choose this Maamar? The Frierdiker Rebbe didn't give out this Maamar. The Rebbe has a whole Akdama they were explaining that we see in the last few years, the Rebbe Geshtorim, there should be a Maamar for every year in the Pagra. And now we have to be Mischazik in Iskashros, and in the letters and Sichos, Frierdiker Rebbe says Iskashros is Be'ikar through Limut Terasi, the Maamar and Sichos. So in Meilef and Zogin, we have to learn a Maamar, so this is the Maamar. And that became the Seder, the Rebbe started giving out Maamar. This went through Tavshin Yud, the whole Tavshin Yud Aleph, right? That's how there's a Sefer, the Frierdiker Rebbe called Sefer Tavshin Yud Aleph. Throughout the whole Tavshin Yud Aleph, the Rebbe gave out Maamar. Now this continued better into Tavshin Yud Beis. It still went on, and then it started slowing down. Where still kontresim came out, not nearly as often, but you had a few Maamarim in Tavshin Yud Gimel, and Tavshin Yud Dalid. Maamarim came out, kontresim, and some sichos came out. Likutei Diburim, a big part of Likutei Diburim, Chelik Dalid, are sichos that were printed after the Istalkus. The Rishimas HaMaiser came out Yud Beis Tammuz, Gimel, Yud Dalet, Tesvav, something like that, right? 4 years in a row, Yud Beis Tammuz in the Yuds. So, but then pretty much at the end of the Yuds it stopped. So similar with Maamarim. So if Basi Lagani was Kuntris Ayin Dalid, so here in Tafshin Tezayin, for Yutas Kislev, Kuntris Kuf Yutes came out. Kuntris Kuf Yutes, meaning in the middle of the Yuds, a Maamar here, a Maamar there. And then pretty much it stopped at the end of the Yuds. In the Chafs, a couple of Maamarim came out. Then I think that I would give out a Maamar Tafshin Chaf Ches, like random, they would give out a Maamar. And then it stopped. That's pretty much the last Kuntris of the Friedrich Rebbe. Later Maamarim came out, and many years later, but then it wasn't part of the Kuntresim. So Maamarim that came out in Kuntresim after the Stalkos and weren't printed in any other Sefer, they're printed in the Sefer Maamarim Kuntresim Chel Gimel of the Friedrich Rebbe. It's Maamarim that are after Yud Shvat. Kuntresim came out after Yud Shvat. The reason why it's so small, even though many other Maamarim came out, because they're already printed by the time Kuntresim Gimel was printed, they're already printed in Sefer Maamarim Tafshin Aleph, Tafshin Beis, Tafshin Gimel, wherever the Maamarim printed, and the Mashal list was printed in Tafshin Zayin. So when the Rebbe gave out this Maamar, this came out 2 weeks after the Rebbe said the Maamar Padah Beshalom for Yutas Kislev. So the Rebbe writes here like this: that this Maamar is a Maamar of the Rebbe Nishma Seid in Taf Reish Ayin Ches. It was said in Rostov. Right, the last few years the Rebbe Rashab was in Rostov, and then what happened is like this: that the Friedrich Rebbe wrote it up and was mefarsim it. It seems very early in the Nesius, the first few years in the early pays, a few years after the Maamar was said, with Kitzurim on it. He divided and put Kitzurim there. Then in Tafshin Zayin, he gave it out again with new Kitzurim. You look in the back of Sefer Maamar Ayin Ches, you see here the old Kitzurim, the new Kitzurim, with new Kitzurim and a few minor Shinuyim. And from then it's known, the Maamar is meforsim as Padah Beshalom Tafshin Zayin. Even though it's the Rebbe Nishma Maamar, but it's known as Padah Beshalom Tafshin Zayin. And now we're giving it out. This is a kuntus we're giving it out now to learn for Yutas Kislev. Now, the Poyol and the Shmuly Gilyon, so I'm not sure if the Shmuly Gilyon was already in the Kuntus when it came out then, or this was only when it was printed in Sefer Maamar Tafshin Zayin, because in the Shmuly Gilyon didn't say Tafshin Zayin. In the Maamar then, obviously didn't say it. Maybe it said the Rebbe said it a few weeks earlier. And this was another seder that happened in those years that Kama Pamim, the Rebbe would give out a Maamar from the Rebbeim. So the Friedrich Rebbe was the one of the Kuntreisim. The other Rebbeim was the Maamar the Alter Rebbe, so Mashal, the next Maamar after Padah Beshalom. So here you see, yes, the Rebbe brings from the Alter Rebbe, and it's the Maamar the way it was printed, and then it's in the Bichol, and it was published, right, in the Sikh after the Maamar. You look in the Sikh after the Maamar of Vayishlach Tazayin, you'll see the Rebbe speaks about the Maamar being printed now in the Chidushim. So the Rebbe would print the Maamar from the Rebbeim, and then either the Shabbos before or after, or 2 Shabbos before or after printing the Maamar, the Rebbe himself would say the Maamar with some shinuyim. So this is that Maamar. Padah Beshalom, it's best in Padah Beshalom Ayin Ches, Tafshin Zayin. And on the one hand, so it's very geschmack to look up the Maamar Tafshin Zayin, because on the one hand like this, on the one hand the Rebbe makes it very clear here. A lot of things that are there are not fully clear. The Rebbe is Magdir the Yonim explains them very well. So Hashem is certain Yonim are Bekitzer, and the Friedrich Rebbe, the Rebbe Rashab, explain a bit more Barichas. So certain Yonim looking for more Asbarik, look up that Maamar. There's also some shinuyim in how the Rebbe learns. I'm not going to get into that right now. Maybe I'll send some messages throughout the week. I'll be madgi certain the way the Rebbe learns differently. So we've got a few inyanim here. So one of the Nekuda, Padah Beshalom by the Rebbe is one of the Yesoyidis Dike Dibra Maschils. They're Pashat Ribui Pa'amim. Right? Which Dibra Maschil does the Rebbe have the most of? The Pashtos? Basi Lagani, how many?
38.
But there were more than one. Some years there were more than one. Like, I think this year in Memhei, I think there's 3, 4 of them. Not all of them have Basi Lagani. Some of them have Basi Lagani. So if I'm not mistaken, there are 53 Basi Laganis. Gan Basi Laganis, the Meredika Indian. Now after Basi Lagani, so then there are a few other Maamar that have a really Dibra Maschils. Padah Beshalom and Vayemer Le'Yohinasam. Many Shabbosim that were Machar Chodesh, if it was Shabbos Nevarchim Cheshvan or Shabbos Nevarchim Nisan, Iyar, different Shabbos Nevarchims that were Machar Chodesh, they would say it. Both of them have somewhere in the 40s. So Padah Beshalom is, usually you see them on Yutas Kislev or Yud Kislev, but you have over here, particularly Yitzim Naklal, you have Shabbos Nevarchim. Most Padah Beshaloms are miyusid on Tafshin Dalid, or the Friedrich Rebbe, or Ranat of the Rebbe Shmos Eden. The famous Padah Beshaloms, you have the Mugedika, Chavav, Chavez, Lamites, etc. The Mugedika. This is a bit of a different kav. The kav that the kav of this Maamar is, the nekuda here is, the Amar Kodesh Baruch Hu Kol Ha'isik B'Torah V'Milos Chasad Mispalim Atzibor Mal and the Allah Kilo Padani Levani B'Beino Omus, which is brought in many Padah Beshaloms. That speaks about the three kavim. Speaks about the three kavim. The Rebbe would say that in Padah Beshalom Shechs Alter Rebbe that Yudas Kislev, he was put in prison because of the three kavim: Torah, then about Vedas Tefillah, and the tzedakah he was giving to Eretz Yisrael. So the Nekuda Maamar is explaining what's the Nekuda of the three kavim. How the three kavim is a shleisha dvarim aleim ha'olam oimid. Yeah, we know Pirkei Avos, the world stands on three pillars. Why dafka these three pillars? Torah, Aved, and Chasadim, which connect the three kavim. Right, there's amazing argo in Talks and Tales or Shmos Mitkim. I'm not sure if it was the Yiddish or the English, where the Rebbe, right, it's in the whole, it's on the official cover. That the Rebbe changed that the pillars. It's a thing for kids. It's a magazine. That was meduyik. That Torah, Aved, and Chasadim has to be. This has to be in the middle. It's to be on the right. And it's on the left. So, okay, so the world stands on pillars. So what's the world and what are the pillars? The way it's mevor here in Chassidus. So in the second ket in the Maamar. So the oilam is, the way it's in Sfiris is the midas. Shoikav amudei shesh, the shisha midas. Muyusad malad nepaz is the moichin. What's the yisoid for the oilam? What does it stand on? What are the pillars? Moichin. So midas stand on moichin. But here's the pashta shaila. Right away the question is asked, what's midas stand on top of moichin? Moichin is in the mailam midas. Moichin are that's even pashas. Moichin are higher than the midas. We're not doing a tumble sauce. So what's in the kodesh? Here he says a word, sharei l'mayla inei doim l'kemoishu l'mata shalamata hayisoy du tachas abinyan. Mashiach l'mayla hayisoy du l'mayla madrega me'abinyan. Shemi hayisoy nishtal shel abinyan. Because the oilam is midas, the yisoy the oilam is moichin. The moichin are higher than midas v'yisoy. Okay, what's he saying? It's a very pashta word. Here lemata, the yisoid is under the binyan, right? You want to build a building, so first you put the foundation. On top of the foundation, you make the building. Mashenkin l'mayla. So what happens? So why the shift? What's the word? Mashenkin l'mayla. What's the word l'mayla? L'mayla in the sphere of is in the dark in the elam ruchni, and what happens there? The yisoid is on a higher level than the binyan. Why? What's the word? Why is the yisoid higher than the binyan? Because it's nishtal shel mimeno. Because the yisoid, it's the foundation of A is the foundation of B, so B comes from A. So when something comes from something, that means it's further away from the source. So the lower something is, means it's a lower darga, it's further away, ki'ilu, right? It's not actual space, but it's a lower darga, it's further from the makir. So leich sich weniger the makir, so it's lower. Fine. Why lamata is nishtazay? Why lamata is the yisoy not higher than the binyan? Think about it like this. Let's say I have a chandelier. All right, so the chandelier is hanging. So what's the chandelier hanging on? What's holding it? The chain, yeah. The chain is higher than it or lower than it? Higher. So a yisoid, right? So the foundation of something that's holding something could be higher. Elamai, so what are you going to say? Why? Why taka? Why does it ultimately have to hold on to something lower? Gravity. Right? It's a practice shechila. Gravity. That here lamata there's gravity, and gravity, the way gravity works is that everything starts from the center, and what we call higher, it's actually higher b'yachas to the sky, because we're face up, but be'etzem, in a way higher, it would be the center, right? Because it's the center of everything. That's everything coming out of the center. So here's the Yesod, and then so Kumte says number one, the reason why the Yesod over here is Lamata is physics, it's because of gravity, and number two, it's not really, when you think about Be'omek, it's not really that this is Hecher and this is lower, because who decided that towards the sky this is higher and that's lower? In a way, right? If you're looking at it from the outside, you go to outer space, look at the world. The world's the center, and everything comes out of it, right? What's together of higher and lower? So it seems to be all just, it's technical. It's not real terms. But that Aβtzon raises the question, besides the fact that how real is that? What does it actually mean that here it's lower and here it's higher, that here it's lower? But oichet, how does it happen that way? We know that everything here, Lamata, is nishtalshel milamayla. Just like he said, right? The Yisrael nishtalshel me'abinyan, it's nishtalshel. So, Lamata is also nishtalshel. Everything in Gashmias is nishtalshel milamayla. By us, the fact that our midas, what's higher, our moichin or our midas? Our moichin. Our moichin are higher than our midas. Why? Because Lamayla higher our moichin than midas. Shenishtalshel mehen. Pergimul time. So everything that goes on Lamata is nishtalshel milamayla. And the fact, and it's not, you could say, okay, that's only yonim ruchnim, not gashmiyim, but it's nishtamas. Because lamata we see, it's not only that the idea intellect is greater than emotions. We see also begashmiyas. Our head is higher than our hearts. So be'etzem everything lamata is nishtalshel the way it's lamayla. As if lamayla the yisoid is lamayla me'abinyan, dal lamata also the yisoid should be higher than the binyan. The Gashmis, that's the way it should be. What's Lamata mean? The Gashmis. So also Lamata should be that way. If Lamata the Yisoid is Lamata me'abin, it has to come from somewhere. Where does it come from? The Chayr Lamayla. So also Lamayla the Chayr the Yisoid is Lamata me'abin. How in this inyan is there a shinui? So you have the vart. There's a vart that every common mekoyim is ikir. It's expounded upon in Chelik Zayin Emer, the Sicha of Oyer Lamata and Oyer Lamayla, where the Rebbe explains the idea that be'etzem everything Lamata should be pretty much a reflection of the way it's Lamayla. So Oyer Lamata, physical light, should be like spiritual light. Elamai. Sof, even though Lamata is installed from Lamayla and it mirrors the way things are Lamayla, but here's Olam HaGvul. And the moment you come into Olam HaGvul, Gvul has certain Hagbalas. Gvul has certain issues. There's certain things that it can't be. So the Olam Lamayla, Take is Bli Gvul. He says, there's no Hagbalah, it goes forever. Lamata does have certain Hagbalas. It's a reflection of Lamayla. Right, but it's a reflection in Olam HaGvul. So by definition, Olam HaGvul imposes upon it certain limitations, certain rules. But take out those rules, it would be similar to the way it's Lamayla. Right, so we do have that concept that just the fact that things exist in Olam Hazar Agashmi, Olam Agashmi by definition will create certain changes. Obervas, but it doesn't give the answer here because Hagufe, those changes that it creates in the way something's Lamata have to reflect the identity of Olam Hazar. Why when Oyer comes into Olam Hazar, it loses its Bligvul, its purity, the way it's Lamayla, the Behirus, the way it's Lamayla, because Olam HaGvul. So in Olam HaGvul there can't be Bligvul. What about Olam Hazeh forces the Yisoid to be under the binyan? So Basi Lagani Tavshin Yotes, the Rebbe speaks about a barichis, kama v'kama sifim. That's a big part of the Maamar is we go sit on this in. But there's a nekuda from there, and look at the via before and it kama mekaymas. And Be'etzem, this connects to what we learned a couple of Maamar ago in Bereshis Bara. Right? Yesh, ayin, yesh. Olam Hazeh is yesh hanivra. The beginning of everything is yesh ha'amiti. In the middle is ayin. So when I come to Olam Hazeh, we'll start with Olam Hazeh and we'll go to Olam Yonim. When I come to Olam Hazeh, what's the yisoid? What's the starting point? What's the etzem? Yesh hanivra, the mata. From the perspective of Olam Hazeh, when you come to the world of Elam Hazeh, where there is the Yesh HaNivra. The Yesh HaNivra itself is a reflection, and we spoke about Barichas then, it's Moira La'atzmos, it's Mechiach Atzmos. The Yesh HaNivra has in it the Tchuna of Atzmos. It's a reflection of Yesh HaAmiti. So Yesh HaNivra expresses reality. The Yisoid. Everything comes out of Etzem. So, in Olam Hazeh, where's the Yisoid of everything? In Mata. And then from Mata, just like there's the Ayin of the Yesh HaNivra. But everything at the end of the day will serve and be an expression of, an extension of the Yesh HaNivra, of the Mata. So therefore, Olam Hazeh, the Mata is Yesh, or Meileh, and Lamaila is Ayin, which means the Ayin comes behemshich to the Yesh. So the same thing in Olam Hazeh itself, in Gashmis itself, the binyan is Lamata. The lower something is, das is Hecher. Soif Ma'aseh Machshavat Chila. It starts from the Tachtin. It's bottoms up. Moshel HaLiver, you start from the Tachtin. Because the lower it is, the more important it is. So if it's more important, that's the Yisoy. That's where it starts from. When you come to Elam Yisrael Yoinim, let's say in Atzilus, so you have Moichin and Midas in Atzilus. So what's higher? Moichin are higher than Midas. Atzilus is higher than Bria. True. Okay, so that's the vert. Why the Yisoid over there in Atzilus, in other words, the Yisoid will be higher than the Binyan. Because the foundation is higher than what comes out of it. But you could say there as well. Take Moichin is higher than Midas, Atzilus is higher than Bria. Aber sof this that it's higher in Darga, but Soif Ma'aseh Machshavat Chila. So whatever's lower is higher. But we don't say that. Right, this is the vart in Perek Lamed Zayin Tanya that ever brings in Basi Lagani, Tavshin Yud Aleph, the Hoyel V'Lahem Yeridam Me'erpanav Yisbarech. Then the world of Giluyim, the lower a Darga goes, it's lower, it's not higher. Only in Elam Hazeh HaGashmi, that's where the Koyach HaAtzmos is, and that's where the tables turn. In Elam Hazeh HaGashmi, the lower you go, you get more to Koyach HaAtzmos. In the higher Elam, it's all Giluyim. In Giluyim, the lower something is, the further it is, the less significant it is. So that's the word. That Lamata, the Yisoid is Lamata Mea Binyan. L'mayla Yisoid is L'mayla Mea Binyan. Why such a chiluk? Because that's the way things are. The lower something is, the further it is from its source. But when you come to Lamata, the script turns. It changes the whole narrative. Here, Vas Nidriker, the Yisoid is Lamata Mea Binyan. Right? It's not just a technical thing. And that's taka the reason. And that's in the mokir of gravity. I know the Hayimim Hayadua. Why in America? Why don't they fall off? Right? So what does it say? The Teichnim say, the physicists say that what? Gravity. And what's the answer? Yigulim. Okay, so there isn't gravity. We don't believe in gravity. Is that the word? Yeah, I'm saying so. Right? Flat Earth theory. Norvade. I mean, the Haguf is a big machlokes. Exactly what's our take on it. But with Pashas, the Nekuda is it doesn't give you a complete answer because Haguf. Why? It doesn't give you a real answer. It's telling you the facts. The facts are gravity. Okay, why? Why does gravity exist? And it ultimately boils down to that point. There, the part is Giluyim. The Kudah we're saying over here is, we would say over here, why taka gravity? Why does gravity make that the Yesod will be lower? Why taka is the Yesod? What's in the middle? Why is that? Because that's the whole vert of Elam Hazeh. The whole vert of Elam Hazeh is the Lamata Yesh Lamayla Ayin. That's Yesh HaNivra, Yesh HaAmit. Fine, that's that point. Nachan Kudah. So in Sifim, it's Beit and Aleph, Bikr Sif Beis and Gimel. Yeah, Beis and Gimel. So it speaks about Kava Avoida, right? So there's three Kavim: Avoida, Gimel Chesadim, and Torah. Avoida is Kava Smoil, Gimel Chesadim is Kava Yamin, and Torah is Kava Emtzai. So when we get to Kava Smoil, so he gives a few Eifanim to explain here in the Maamar the shaykhis of Avoida, be it Karbonis or Tefillah, to Smoil. Where do we see the connection to Kavas Moil? So when we get to Karbanis Lamashal, we see that Shchitasan Batzafin. Shchitasan Batzafin. When you're facing Mizrach, so Tzafin is to the left, Kavas Moil. Why is the Shchita in Kavak Gvuris? Then he brings a few Eifanim by davening. By davening, the inyan of Gvuris. Where do we see Gvuris by davening? So he sees a few inyan. What are the inyan he brings when we get to davening? So one inyan he brings is the Ava Kirish Beyesh, right on page 225 towards the top. Ava Kirish Beyesh, the Gvura that's there, versus Chesed, which would be Ava Kamayim. The Eish of davening is Ava Kirish Beyesh, Gvura. That's one oifen. Another Indian that he brings, this he brings from Derech Chaim at the end of Sif Beis, is the Demoyas, the Indian of tears. Tears is also associated with Gvuris, because tears comes from Kivutz HaMoichin, and that's connected to Gvuris. And another Indian is that by davening, a person, there's Einan Mitzvah Elm Tech Kovetz Roish, the Achna and Shiflus before davening, and that's Achna Shiflus before davening. But then there's a special Inyan, he calls it a Tifra Inyan, the second half of Sif Gimel, that Dafka during davening, by Shmoyne Esrei, a person reaches another Darga in Gvura, which is a deeper bittul. That when a person's davening, after all the achanas, they come to daven, Dafka, then they say Slach Lanu. When you're on the highest level and so pure, then you're able to see that even the most minute things, the chayred and yonah, you didn't look as an issue before. In your mind, it was an avodah, it was a high level of avodah, but biyachas to where you're holding now, that's also an issue. And you have to fix that. Even in yonim of avodah is kecheti chashiv. Fine, so there are 4 or 5 inyanim of inyan hagvura of davening, and then finally he brings out the different avodas, Trumas Hadeshen, and the inyan of miriros that you have, and how you can use out miriros for avodas Hashem. So that's what Chair associated with the same thing. So you have these different yanim of gvuras by davening. Fine. So when he speaks about the different yanim of gvuras by davening, so he started off by davening and by karbanis. He starts off the inyan with saying that shchitasan batzafin, that the carbon tamid is shechted by tzafin kavak gvuras. So he asks, what are karbanis doing in gvuras? So he says this is in Sif Beis, page 24, the 4th line. Achininu shchitasan batzafin. Shu kavak gvura is eina inyan hatzimtzumim shebegvura, ela adrabe shu inyan tigboyres achayus ukmoi gvuris kshamim sheyordim begvura. Shzeu makir ashpa boil. Right. So we're speaking about gvuris. He says, "L'chayra, what's the pshat? You're bringing karbanis. Why are you bringing it in place of gvuris and simtzum? The whole line of karbanis is nachasruach lefonai shamarti v'naser itzoyni, connecting to karbanis loshen kiru of the whole basilagani. Yeah, adam ki akriv mikem karban levai. You miskarv to the evish there. Optimal gvuris tzimtzum. The chayret, it's a very high avoid. It says a meir dikavart. It's a word from Friedrich's Maamar, at the bottom of the page. That while this is the first stage, right? First we do gvuris. First we do avoida. That's halah. Then we do hamshacha of gemach, and then the hamshacha of Torah, which is a higher level of hamshacha. So he says, avoida Allah is avoida gdoila yoser me avoida hamshacha. Kamay mera'ilam aruf is shverer v'yarab. Pashtus. Walking up is harder than walking down, unless you're walking down a real stiff clip, and it's really complicated, right? But again, aruf is hecher v'yarab. So what we say? What's gvuris over here? How does gvuris fit? So first he says the yesod over here like this. That gvuris, we're speaking about gvuris over here, we're not talking about gvuris as in stopping, tzimtzum, but rather gvuris tikbayres achayis. Right, so gvur in Chassidus, right, but then he'll come back full circle later and say that it is associated with the regular gvura as well. Right, what's in the Kodesh? Gvur in Chassidus, we know that all the midas l'mayla, the spheres l'mayla, it's the spheres of the Eibishter. And the Eibishter is the bligvul, and the Eibishter is teva tev lahetiv. So how is there a concept of gvuris there? Contraction, holding back, din, bikumtas. So even in Atzilus, it's a shayla. Lachas kamakama, when you go hecher, l'mashal seretzach, it has all the spheres in Atik. Keser has all the spheres, including in Atik. We know that Atik is kula yamin. Kula yamin. All of Atik is yamin. It's all hashpa. It's all chesed. the lashon. We get to the melech. No. When the melech comes in.
It's going to be
Huh?
it's going to be
No. Melech. No, the Gilui HaMelech is the Kudah of Chesed. Whoever remembers the lashon. But when the melech comes in, the melech comes into a court case. The melech comes in and it's very alt Chesed.
The one which is
The Teger, Seneger. No, what's the lashon when we get to the melech? No.
Melech.
Vaypri Melech Chaim. Oh, very good. Vaypri Melech Chaim. Right, the melech is Vaypri Melech Chaim. Less smaller b'hayatika. But you have all the midas there. So the lashon is that even Gevuris is Kavi Yamin. What's wrong with Gevuris Kavi Yamin? The word's like this. Be'etzem Gevuris, the way it's Lamaila, Gevuris is not holding back. Gevuris is Tigboiris Achayis, Hashpa Yisera. Hashpa Yisera. What's the shaykhis to Gevuris? It sounds a bit almost comical. Like you're using the same word Gevuris for no Hashpa and all the Hashpa. Narvaden. The word is like this. What's the difference? What's the pneumistic chilik between chesed and gvura? It's probably Yisoid and chassidus, right? A lot of times you speak in yonim, you speak on surface level, but chassidus never speaks at surface level. So chassidus is always what's at the core. You could speak about chesed and gvura, chesed giving, gvura holding back. Fine, that's not really what it is. That's an act. That's not a midah. What's the vart of the midah? What is chesed? What is chesed? What's the tnuah of chesed? What's the tnuah of gvura? The tnuah of chesed is his pashtus. The Hainu, in the world of Chesed, there's a shaykhis to the Zulas. I care about you. I'm here for you. I'm giving to you. So Yisha Chesed comes and he sees, right, so Avraham Avinu Yisha Chesed comes and he sees what the people need. So mainly he goes out there into the midbar and he prepares for them a 5-course meal and all the good tezach and mashpiyat and he gives all in yon. That's Chesed. Yisha Chesed. What's Gvuris? Gvuris is halah. Danam shacha to the zulat, it's halah, it's iskalus, bifnim, the hainu. In the world of gvuris, the zulas is irrelevant. It's not about the zulas. It's all about the mashpia. It's not about the mekabel, it's about the mashpia. Now, if it's all about the mashpia, then what happens? You could say all about the mashpia, that sounds very narcissistic. But a narcissist is not a mashpia. The word is not narcissism. We're talking also in kedusha. What's the word here? The word that's all about the mashpia is what's going on with the mekabel is irrelevant. It's visas by the mashpia. So and mitzad the mashpia is on a much higher level than the mekabel. So the mashpia gist, right? So you're trying to explain something to somebody. So it's irrelevant what you think and how you understand. I'm just going to tell you how these legs are up by mir. So the person says it the way he understands it. You're trying to explain something to a little kid. Doesn't understand the word you're saying. Say it. Who cares? It's not about the mekabel. It's about the mashpia. So be'etzem at the yasoid, the mashpia. So in the word of gvuris, when the mashpia is giving. It's a sachecher. It's the gveiras achai. It's the gvuris kshamim. His related bezaf. Was it by Chayim Ma'agel? Yeah, it's pouring rain, and it's irrelevant. It's not a negit. This is the way gvuris is b'mehusay.
It's not chesed that he doesn't. Avraham Avinu, he had the teva of chesed, so he needed somebody.
Saying you're asking l'chayra, you're saying l'chayra, it's mevora mal chassidus or sachmal chassidus, mevora farkert. That chesed is mitzad mashpia, mitzad mashpia, ma'ayla lamatos. He does his thing. And what? And it's irrelevant. It's irrelevant if you need it or not. It's irrelevant if you need it or not. Gevuris looks at the zulas, right? Looks at the zulas and he's done. Dino mishpat. Right, but that's already tunya. Number one, that's already gvuris on the lower level. That's the dinu gvur that we'll get to in a moment. But also, what we speak about chesed, there's two in nekudas here. There's two in yon. Yeah. In chesed, he doesn't really care if you deserve it, you don't deserve it, what your ma'im the matzah is. It's because mitzad chesed. Everyone's great. Everyone's tzaddikim. Everyone's amazing. Right? That's why that brings in the Seichel Chelik Vav Shmois that Avraham Avinu gave to the Arvim shemishtachlim la'afar ragleim, right? The lowest level, and it was irrelevant. No matter how low you were, he gave to you. But mitzad sheni, he's giving to you. Meaning Avraham Avinu doesn't put food in the desert and walks off. Right? It's not the nekudah. The nekudah is ergitzu Allah. because he doesn't care voodoo house. But he's giving chesed. His nikud is to help you. That's what Basar will. He's here to help a person. He's not doing it because necessarily you have an issue. He's doing it because he's an isha chesed. But what's his isha chesed? The isha chesed is to be mashpia goodness to somebody else. If the guy can't accept it, then it's not good. Mashenkin in Gvuris, the way it's been koiro, been husay Gvuris, here been husay, not the next level of Gvura, the higher level, the lower level of Gvura. In the higher level of Gvura, what Gvuris is it's all about the mashpia. There is no mekabel klalu klal. There is no mekabel klalu klal. So it's like you're not here b'chlal. Okay, so what I'm giving? You give. To who? To where? What? You're giving so much rain, no one can accept it. What are you doing? It's a waste of time. You pour into the cup and it overflows. What's the Indian? It's not about giving water. It's not about being mashpia to somebody. It's kol kuli the mashpia via is without any shaykhs to the zulas klal u'klal.
Why is he giving period?
Huh?
Why is he giving anything?
Why is he giving? It's a good shaila. So what do you have to say? He's giving mitzad, especially when we speak about Tigvuris Ta'atik, he's giving mitzad that he's etzem hatoiv. Etzem hatoiv. But it's etzem hatoiv that's completely muvdal, so it says hashpa. That's what we're talking, it doesn't work out on its own. That's where it falls apart. But mitzad etzem hatoiv, not etzem hachesed, etzem hatoiv. So etzem hatoiv, so alt is b'hashpa. So nothing just stays by him. But there's no agenda. It's like he's not even trying to help somebody. It's sagist. What ends up happening, and this is the issue. So what ends up playing out from Gvura is farker. What ends up happening, that because the zulas bichlal doesn't exist over there, so the zulas. What ends up happening is the zulas now wants something, and he's like, okay, I want something. I need something. Give me something that I deserve. Give me something that makes sense for me. There's nobody home. You never exist. So even when there's a yerida to the lower darga, where now I'm speaking to nivroim kiviyachol, we're already he goes and he is misyachas to nivroim, but the nivroim have no erech by him. So whatever happens, they're wrong. Whatever happens, you never get it right because you never get any sense of worth by the makabel. So what ends up happening? The makabel walks out with nothing. So the tzir of gvura b'poyel ends up with a tzur of what? Of complete din, nothing in the actual world of ashpa, in the actual world of communication, nothing's been communicated because you're existent. You're not worth anything. You never get any sense of worth. But it comes from a place that's because Taka is be'ena roichtzuns and whatever we did and we didn't do is completely irrelevant. It's not even a conversation. You have no existence. But then when it reaches that place, or I think about when the person is be'ena roich, now actually comes and starts, enters the room and starts speaking to the guy and starts communicating with him. There's no erech. It's like very bistu bichlal. Back to the sprach merum be'etzem. It's like he stays merum be'etzem. He has no shaykhs bichlal. You're not on the table. You're not on the agenda. Right. So this is what he says later on in the Maamar. Tzif Gimel. Omnam kol zehu inyan iska etikveiris shebegvuris. Meaning, the tikboiris of gvuris and the tzimtzum of gvuris are not two disconnected ideas. It's not two different dargis in gvura. Just like water, you see in water, rain on the one hand it comes pouring down. On the other hand, also every raindrop has its tfus, has its shape that's similar to every other one. Because of the tikboiris, it goes through its tzimtzum. That's the nikud. Tikboiris ends up going through that tzimtzum. In the Maamar, he explains how all these different ifanim, the higher dargis, the lower dargis, all these different inyanim in kvuris, all come out in our avodah, in karbanis, and in tefillah. So that's the nikud that visa diktuchais in kvuris. We just say when we get to the sugya of kvuris, a very gishmak sicha this week, chelik lamed about Yitzchak. I think it's the first sikh or second sikh. I think the first sikh Chelik Lamed. Avram and Yitzchak. Avram is Chesed, Yitzchak is Gvura. But Dafka, when we get to Yitzchak, the Torah speaks about the Harchava that existed by Yitzchak, by Yifreit Sa'ish, and Yitzchak Miloshen Tzchoik. How do all these things work together with Gevurah? But it's understood, we understand what the pnimius of Gevurah is. A lot of Geshmak Oisi is there, especially the second half of the Sikha. V'tan Chacham Yach Kamoid. Yeah, very Geshmak and Maamar, a lot of other Geshmak and Yonim, how do we mamshich, moichin and Timidus.